on-chip Pheripheral LPC 2148 for using the Watchdog Timer. In that, Watchdog Timer can help a fool to automatically reset the system whenever timeout occurs. In system resets requires the preventing failure of the system in a situation of a hardware fault or the program error. Therefore, there are the countless applications where the system cannot afford to get the stucks at a point, and not even for a small duration of the time. For example, in a radar system, if the system hangs for the 5 minutes, it can result the serious, suspicious, or the many plane of the missiles go to undertaken, resulting in the huge losses. That means the system should be robust enough to automatically detect the failures quickly and the reset itself in order to the recover from the failures and the function normally without the error. One can manually reset the system to recover from errors, but it is not always feasible to manually reset the system, especially once it has been developed to overcome such as the problems. A watchdog timer is necessary to automatically reset the system without human interventions. The LPC 2148 has the inbuilt watchdog timer. The watchdog, when enabled, generate the system reset. If the use of the programs is fails, the watchdog within the predetermined amount of the time. The watchdog timer consists the fixed divided by the 4 prescaler and the 32-bit counter. The clock fed to the time through the prescaler. The counter can be loaded with any value between the 0 into FF and the 0 into a time F. If the counter is loaded with the values less than 0 into FF, then the counter initializes with the value of 0 into FF. How if the watchdog timers needs to be fed with the predetermined sequence of a 0 into A followed by the 0 into 55 before the watchdog timer underflows to prevent the reset interrupt. How does the watchdog work? That means तुम्ही वॉचडॉग टायमर कसं वर्कआउटमध्ये आणू शकता. कन्सिडर अ पेट डॉग. इफ यू फीड द डॉग ॲट रेग्युलर इंटरवल्स इट विल बी हॅप्पी, बट what if happens if you do not feed it? Well, it will start for the barking and might even bite you. Similarly, if you do not feed the watchdog timer regular intervals before its timeout, it will causes the system resets. Let's see the register that used for the control and the start the watchdog timer in LPC 2148. In that watchdog registers, the first register is the WD mode, that means the watchdog mode registers. The figure shows it is 8-bit read or write register. It is used to control the operation of the watchdog. The bit number 0 is the WDESN, that means the watchdog interrupt enable. Bit 1 is the watchdog reset enable. Bit 2 is the watchdog timeout flag. The bit 2 is the bit set when the watchdog times out and it is cleared by the software. The bit number 3 is the watchdog interrupt flag. This bit is set when watchdog times outs. This bit is cleared when any reset occurs. It is read only bit. In that modes of the operation, the watchdog interrupt enable and the watchdog reset enable. When watchdog interrupt enable 0 and reset 1, 0 or 1, they are the debug and the operating without that the watchdog running. When watchdog interrupt enable 1 and the reset enable is the 0, then watchdog interrupt mode. That means the debug with the watchdog interrupt but no reset enabled. A watchdog counter underflow will the set of the watchdog interrupter flag and the watchdog interrupt request will be the generated. Where watchdog enable interrupter is 1 and reset 1, then the watchdog is the reset mode. That means the operate with the watchdog interrupter and the watchdog interrupt reset enabled, a watchdog counter underflows will the reset the microcontroller. All through that the watchdog interrupt is enabled if will not be the recognized, since the watchdog reset will the clear watchdog interrupt flag. The second one is the watchdog timer constant register. It is the 32-bit read or write registers, whereas this is the every time of the sequence fade occurs, the watchdog, that means the watchdog timer counter contains the loaded into the watchdog timer. The least significant bits number 7 or that the bit number 0, that means the 0 to 7s of the register are set to be the 1 on that the reset. Any value below that is the 0 into FF will causes the 0 into FF to be loaded in this register. Hence the minimum timeout intervals is that the occur. The watchdog timer fade registers. This is the fade registers. It is the 8-bit write only register. In that the writing for that the 0 into AA followed by the 0 into 55. To this register will reloaded the watchdog timer with the WDC value. This operation will be also start the watchdog if it is enabled. The WDT mode is the register, making that the WEN bit 1, the WDT mode is register is not sufficient to start the watchdog. A valid feed sequence must be completed, so that is the watchdog is the able to generate the interrupt or that the reset. Until then the watchdog will be ignore feed error. Once 0 into A is written by the feed register, the next operation should be the 0 into 55 write to the feed register. Otherwise the watchdog is triggered. The interrupt reset will be the generated during that the second. That means the peak clock following and the incorrect access to that the watchdog timer register during the feed sequence. That is the interrupt should be the disabled during the feed sequence, and abort condition, that is the will occur that the interrupts occur during that the feed sequence. The next is the watchdog timer value register. It is the 32-bit register only read. It is used to that the current value of the watchdog timer. In that case, how to use for that the watchdog in that the LPC 2148, to use for that the watchdog timer, we need follow the steps given below. The first step is the set watchdog timer constant reload value in the WDC register. Second one is the select the mode using the WD mode is the register. Then third is the start the watchdog by the feeding it with the 0 into AA followed by the 0 into 55 in that the WD feed register. Then next make sure to the feed the watchdog again before that the timer or counter underflows in the order of the prevent, reset and that the interrupt. The watchdog timer out flag, that means the can be mentioned determine if the watchdog has the caused a reset condition. The watchdog flag must be cleared using by that the software. This is the example for that the write a simple code for that the watchdog timer will reset system due to time out. In that the system, here we have the connected two LEDs to the P0.0 and the P0.1, where we write the code for that the blinking LED and the P0.0 with the increasing amount of that the delay. That means the watchdog timer counter is loaded with the 0 into 00007 FFFF, that means the 5 to 4 287, which gives a maximum duration of the 139 millisecond, and before the timer counter underflows the reset if the system. That means the if the system is reset by that the watchdog, it is the indicated by the turning on the LED on that the P0.1.